Welcome to Sports Talk with Steve Jones, the daily talk show with the voice of Penn State football and men's basketball. You never know what special guest may stop on by any given day. Now here's the man of the hour, Mr. Steve Jones.
Right. Great to have you with us on the show today. And once again, on this Penn State show, it's a thrill for us to see you dressed like either a Rutgers or Ohio State person. I mean, really, what's the thought process here? I mean, you also have matching shoes.
I do.
What's wrong with you? Was that like in a bin over at Ross's? What?
No, I bought this shirt, I think.
You thought you bought the shirt? You're not sure?
I'm pretty sure. You occasionally find the bargain bin shirt that's a good one, but no, I think this one was a legitimate buy.
Disaster. Okay, so we were talking about something that was interesting in the hallway. Alex Caravan, who has been really a terrific college player at UConn. One of the many reasons that they won back-to-back national championships. And when you look at what you can do on the college level now with NIL, he had put his name into the NBA draft. He had done so before Saturday. And you haven't now, once you put your name in, you have until June 15th to withdraw your name. Right? So the draft is June 25th. June 15th is the last day that you can pull out. The NBA, the basketball system, because of the calendar.
Yeah.
Okay, and I'm talking about the academic calendar, is so much better than the NFL system. And you go through the evaluations, and you can pull your name out. In the with the NFL, once you put your name in, okay, you only have until 1 week after the national championship game to pull your name out. So what was the national title game this year?
20th, I think. January 20th.
So you had until January 27th to pull your name out. What haven't you done at this point? You haven't gone to the
combine or anything.
Pro day.
Yeah.
You haven't worked out for anybody.
Right.
You probably played in the Senior Bowl, maybe.
Or some form of postseason.
All-Star game, East-West Shrine game, something. And you either are in and then roll the dice as to whether you get drafted. So let's take, for example, there's been so much placed on the Sanders family. Let's just, again, use them. Except this time we'll go to Shallow Sanders. Shallow Sanders put his name into the NFL draft. He didn't get picked. Now, he was eventually signed, I think, by Tampa Bay, I believe. I think the Bucks signed Shallow Sanders, if I'm correct about that.
I think it might have been, it's either Tampa Bay or Tennessee. It was one of them, too. I think it was Tampa Bay.
And so he goes through the process.
Yeah.
I'm just asking for one guy, even half a guy.
Yeah.
Like somebody's got some knowledge of something. Something. Back to the show.
I keep up with the Penn Staters undrafted. Other than that, it's tough to keep up with the undrafted guys till they actually do something.
Just painful. But my point is that there had to be some point in the process where he was starting to get a feel for, hey, I'm going to be late. I'm going to be late third day. I'm going to be an undrafted free agent.
Right.
Whatever. And you'd like to be able to, 10 days before the draft, just pull your name out and go back to Colorado, play for dad, get some NIL money, and go from there.
Sure.
But you don't have that option in the NFL. And again, because of the academic calendar and because of where the NBA season is situated, it is a much friendlier proposition. Right? Much
Sure.
friendlier. I don't understand why you can't go through. I know the 105 player limit is going to come into play here, but I don't understand why you can't go through the NFL process on March 31st. I wouldn't say April 1st because we don't want to get into April Fool's jokes.
Right. Yeah.
Right. March 31st and have the ability to pull your name out. Right. If you're eligible, if you can keep your academics up. I realize that trying to get ready for the draft can be a full-time thing because you spend a lot of time not doing football. You spend a lot of time how to do broad jumps, how to get a great takeoff on your 40, how to be able to do the three-cone drill, things like that are going to be used at combines and at pro days. Now, does it come into play? First of all, you're going to have people, the roster's open. If the roster wasn't open, then you wouldn't have the transfer portal where it is, because now in the transfer portal, you're going to be getting players anyway. Wouldn't you rather have back, pick a guy, let's just say, Keziah Izzard. Now, he was out of eligibility.
Right.
Okay. But say he had some eligibility left. Like Shallow Sanders had eligibility left. I mean, he had another year to go. I don't think Shedeur Sanders would have pulled out because I think he really thought he was a first-round pick.
Yeah. Absolutely.
You know, what he thought and what 32 other people thought were completely different opinions. But I remember I'm watching NFL Network the other night, and Rich Eisen, and this really surprised me, because Rich Eisen knows, now, I don't expect Rich Eisen maybe to know everything about the college game, but he brought up on day 2, because I didn't watch anything at day 3.
No.
You know,
No, I was here. Or I was at the stadium.
you weren't working, you were just recreating.
Yeah, but I was still semi-working in the beginning, and then I recreated.
Somebody working doing what?
I just help people. I just help out. That's it.
You're pulling cable again? What are you,
No, wasn't doing that.
Your grip? What are you doing? But he brings up out of nowhere,
Right.
can he go back to school? And it took everybody in the set, like, I don't know, 10, 15 seconds ago. Like, and I think it was Charles Davis, and he was one of the nicest people on the
Yeah.
face of the earth.
Excellent
Smart,
guy. Yeah.
Smart, great guy.
Yeah. Knowledgeable guy. I agree.
Oh. Said no. Once you're in, you're in.
Mhm.
NFL. That means you're out of college. So, now, that would not have come into play in this situation because we're talking about March 31st.
Right.
So back to Alex Caravan. Alex Caravan, this was pretty quick. I thought he'd at least go through the process. This is why I've said, when it came to Yannick Conan Niederhauser, if you notice, Yannick did not put his name in the portal. Okay, everybody, did you notice that? He didn't do it? Okay. But going through the process, you can either find out that, hey, you might be on track to be in the NBA draft, or you'll at least learn enough about what it's going to take to get there and get evaluations on where your game is and where it needs to be. That's why I was surprised Caravan pulled out so quickly today. There is no no need, for them to sit back and he's going to get his NIL money no matter what. You couldn't have waited 2 weeks? And that's how I was surprised by that. For example, the Dylan Harpers and the Ace Baileys and so forth, I mean, they're going to be two of the top 3 picks in the draft. I think Harper's going to go 2, and Bailey may go 3.
Yep, 3, yep.
Okay. I don't know what that says about the job Steve Peichel did this year at Rutgers. I don't know if there's a statement there. But it is interesting to see what they will do with it. ACC news. This time it's not a lawsuit. This is actually a sports question as opposed to a, I can't believe we're not getting as much money as everybody else. People are not lining up for you. All right, so if you don't mind me saying, the ACC, like the Big Ten, plays a 20-game conference basketball schedule. They have done so in the ACC since the 1920 season. I mean 2019-2020 season. I don't mean the 1920 season.
Yeah.
Okay? And, of course, what did that coincide with?
Pandemic.
No.
Wait. 2020? Wait, what are we doing here? 2019, 2020. What did that?
What? Coincided with the launch of the ACC network.
Well, yeah. Did not.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yes.
what does the ACC network need? Inventory. So you go to 20 conference games, gives you more inventory. Here is the problem. The ACC has gone from being a great basketball conference to being a good to very good basketball conference. It's just the way it's played out. As I have pointed out before, in the past couple of years, Penn State has been contacted by some ACC schools about scheduling games. And the reason has been they needed the Big Ten cachet on their non-conference schedule because their conference schedule was not strong enough.
That's right.
Last year, 4 teams made the NCAA tournament from the ACC. Thus, for a conference that has been so dominant in basketball for decades, they are a shell of themselves. They had the ACC SEC Challenge last year. They played 16 games. How many games did the ACC win? As he wears his NC State shirt.
Trying to think.
I didn't know either. I had to look it up.
3?
Too high. 2 and
2?
14.
2 and 14? I was going to say 2. Would have been right the first time.
No. You
was told to always go with your first answer and should have done it. But no, that's...
You were very close. So
yeah.
You weren't like, what, you're off by 1? Come on.
I can't even remember. Did Duke won? Did Duke beat Michigan? I'm trying to think if Duke won that.
Yeah, I think Duke.
They did, I believe.
They lost 3.
Yeah, they only lost 3 games. Yep, one was Kansas, Clemson. Yep.
Okay. So they think if they can add more high-profile non-conference games, they can improve their net and the Ken Pom rankings, which is exactly what I just talked about here. Now, the question would be, would they roll back to 18 games? And remember, if they can do some of these as home and aways, this goes back to the point I made about the 31-game schedule. If you can do these as home and aways, that means every other year, a couple of these games end up in the ACC network. And that's where they are right now. I mean, they're trying to come up with something to get the conference back on track. Duke is having no trouble. They're fine.
Right.
North Carolina is struggling. I mean, most of us feel it was generous that they got a bid to the NCAA tournament last year because they only won one game the entire year against the top teams in the net. They had one quad one win in the entire year. Penn State had more quad one wins than North Carolina did. And I don't know. They're trying to come up with all sorts of different ways to do this. Here is a simple solution that's very difficult to do. Get better players. Now, that's a simple solution. It's also extremely difficult to do. It's not an easy thing, but that is one of the problems. And look, these conferences are so big now. I mean, I'm out there, last year, making the trip to Los Angeles. This year, it's going to be, in all likelihood, it should be a trip to Eugene and Seattle for the first time ever.
Yep.
Because the conference is so big. And because, for example, in football, one of the ways you could, and they don't want to do this, one of the ways you could make the conference feel more intimate would be divisions. They're not going to do it. They should have done divisions in Olympic sports a long time ago. A long time ago, division should have been done in Olympic sports. But the coaches of Olympic sports don't want it because it makes it seem like they're not equal to everybody else. Well, no offense, but you have 18 schools in the Big Ten. They should be divided into six school divisions in all these other sports, where you play everybody in your division, cross over and play one in the other division, cross over and play the one in the third division. It keeps travel down. I mean, there's a lot of things that come into play, but they're not going to do it. They're not going to do it. Yeah, they're not doing block scheduling.
No.
Hey, you want to save money? You do block scheduling. Hey, one plane, boom, everybody gets on the plane. Guess what? Women's soccer goes out, men's soccer goes out, women's volleyball goes out, boom, they all go out to the West Coast. They all play between USC, UCLA, or if it happens to be Oregon, Washington, whatever, boom, 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 they come back same plane. Not going to do that either. And with everybody having to pony up $20.5 million within the Big Ten, and that'll probably be the same in the ACC, I don't see where the ACC is going to come up with the money. I keep looking at Pitt, Syracuse. Where are they going to come up with $20.5 million? Where? How? Can they keep all their sports while still coming up with $20.5 million so you can compete with the SEC and the Big Ten? Where are you going to get the money?
Yeah, not a chance.
Right? You don't have the media deals to do it. And I don't know. I don't know. Now, this isn't finalized. And I think today is the day. Judge Claudia Wilken gave them 14 days. So she said that on April 15th. I know you've been doing a lot of calculations trying to add 15 plus 14.
It's tough. You didn't even have to carry any numbers. I still struggled.
Oh. You actually scored high in math, didn't you?
SAT, yeah, I actually did pretty well in math. Yeah. Critical reading part, though. That's just got to critically read that a little bit better next time if I ever take the SAT again. Which, if I ever take the SAT again, somebody help me because I have no idea why. But yeah, that part.
Show prep. Give me
See
one
that?
guy
That.
with the show prep.
See, I took it back when it was 60. Is it even 1600 now? It went from 16 to 24. Well, I don't even know what it is now. It was 16 when I took it.
I wonder me.
Yeah,
I haven't taken the SAT in 50 years.
It's been almost
it's been 50 years.
Been 26, 27 for me now,
Okay.
so, at least.
So,
Yeah, so it's been, it was 16 when I took it. I know that much, and would have scored a little bit higher had I comprehended the reading part a little more.
certainly hasn't shown up on this show.
Special thanks to Penn State for taking a chance on me and saying, you know what? We all have a bad day.
They took a chance on your bank account. All right.
Yeah, well, yeah. They do that.
Okay, so playoff opening weekend in the NBA. Largest opening weekend playoff audience in 25 years. That's good. They increased their viewership by 18%, okay, versus last year. They averaged nearly 5 million per broadcast. Not bad. Now, those figures tell you, and again, nobody has ever said the NBA playoffs weren't popular. They are.
They are, sure.
The problem is, who watches the regular season? And the NBA
You're right.
does, to their credit, the NBA does everything it can to make sure you don't watch the regular season. I'm sorry, tonight's Lakers starting lineup will not be playing tonight. What? Oh, how about J.J. Redick the other night? He pulled a Hubert Davis. He played 5 guys the entire second half. Holy mackerel. All right. Okay.
Yeah.
But now back to the ratings. As we all know, the ratings were in free fall before Christmas.
Sure.
Christmas Day was a big boost, helped out by the Warriors and the Lakers. There will be some point where both LeBron and Steph Curry are going to retire. LeBron may be 10 years from now.
You're not wrong.
Right? I'm sorry. I imagine being that kind of physical specimen.
Yeah,
What,
to do it at the
41?
level, it's
Oh,
41, 42 years old that he is now. It's unbelievable.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, because of Christmas Day, they bounced back. And by bouncing back, the ratings are down 2% from last year. Adam Silver goes out and touts it as a victory. Okay, 2% is 2% there, sport. Okay. So, on a podcast, Bill Simmons and Ryan Russillo, who are both huge NBA guys, Russillo, of course,
Sure.
announces the games. They singled out Outkick founder Clay Thomas and Bobby Burak, who is a writer for Outkick, about what they've said. And Simmons said it's one of the best 24-hour stretches the league has had in a while. Competitive games, great ratings. Yeah, Clay Travis, how about tweeting about the ratings? Russillo replied sarcastically. Get Bobby Burak on that one, too. He said, look, I realized group economics wasn't a great Jersey idea either, Russillo joked, referencing the pandemic-era social justice messaging by the NBA jerseys that had been criticized by everybody. The comments, which were obviously lighthearted in nature, say they're laughing about it, do hold some truth, they said. And they said that, does the NBA have an audience retention problem? And the regular season does. I don't care what anybody says, because the NBA doesn't do a good job with the regular season. They just don't.
No.
Anybody who thinks they do a great job with the regular season, you got to be kidding me. Too many guys are sitting out.
Right.
You just can't. You can't have people making their own decisions about sitting out. I'm only going to play 65 games. Well, that means that 17 games you're not going to play.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, I mean, would Kobe Bryant do that?
No.
Michael Jordan? No.
No.
Now, if
No, they understood it.
You're hurt, I got it.
Yeah.
Okay? You're injured, no question.
Yeah.
And
I think the thing that irks me the most is, yes, road games take precedence because, yeah, it's your only visit to such and such, but I always like hearing, oh, he's sitting out, it's a home game. That could still be the only game that somebody's going to that year. Right. It's not as if it's excused when that happens either. And again, you're right, injuries are injuries, but yeah, you talked about Michael Jordan. Yeah, Michael Jordan was a draw no matter where he went, and
right.
That place was sold out everywhere he went.
Yeah.
That was before the Bulls were arguably the most popular team of all time, 96 through 98. Yeah, the 91, 92, 93, same thing. Mm-hmm. And yeah, he never missed a game unless he absolutely had to. You go back to when he got hurt in 1986, he pushed the heck out of the Bulls to go back in there when they told him not to, and scored 63 in the playoffs. So that's, and yeah, I agree with it. It's just, there's no excuse for it.
Yeah. Again, they have a regular season problem. They do not have a playoff problem. They do not. And I've said this for a long time. They don't have a playoff problem.
No, and they've added the excitement in the playoffs. Obviously, I
don't like the play in.
I was about to say that. I make the argument there's too much. I think that gets, it adds excitement for some fans, but I agree. I think it's too much. I think it's too many teams.
I watched the Bulls play the Heat.
Yeah.
I watched 5 to 10 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
They both finished under 500.
Mm-hmm.
To their credit,
they looked like teams under 500.
Teams playing basketball.
Yeah.
You're like, what am I doing here?
Yeah. And the argument the NBA is going to fire right back as well. Miami was in the finals as the 8 seed. Yeah, they were. They're not that same team. They showed that last night.
They can fire back all that way.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yep.
I mean, I think they went into that thing as the 8.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they would have been in the playoffs.
Would have been in the playoffs anyway. Yeah.
So that's my argument. Well, they would have made it.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't like them at all.
When you're sitting there as a league, and you have now come up with 2 gimmicks
to
get people juiced, the 2 gimmicks being the play-in and the in-season tournament.
Yeah.
With just courts that are different.
That is.
And like,
ugh.
What are we watching here? I mean, who won it this year? Indiana won it this year?
Maybe. I can't even remember. I know the Lakers won the first one because they made a big deal out of it, but I couldn't tell you otherwise.
And I sit there and I look at this and I'm like, what league comes up with a gimmick? Now, the NHL, instead of its All-Star game, came up with 4 nations.
Which was awesome.
Which was tremendous. But it replaced the All-Star game. Okay? That's what it replaced. Next year, you don't have to worry about any All-Star game. You have the Olympics. Great. Right? So you don't need that part. But to their credit, they came up with something as an alternative to an exhibition game.
Right.
The NBA has come up with gimmicks. And what's the NFL's gimmick? They don't have any gimmicks.
Yeah, play overseas, play internationally, but that's not the worst thing. The NBA, I was going to say, the NBA does it anyway.
I mean, and I know
Major League Baseball does it.
Okay, the NBA has become such an international game.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
But like, the NBA draft this year will be helped by the fact that the leadoff guy will be Cooper Flagg.
Right.
Okay. Then after that, you're probably going to have Dylan Harper and Ace Bailey. Oh, you're going to have 3 college players right out of the gate, as opposed to last year's draft, which had people that nobody ever saw play before. Now, 2 years ago, Victor Wembanyama may not have been a player people watched, but everybody seemed to know who he was.
Sure.
Just out of pure size, skill set, things like that. Last year's draft, Shea and all those guys, whoever saw him play. And now we go back to the Wembanyama draft. Who were the 4th and 5th guys picked in the draft? 2 guys from G League Ignite. Nobody ever saw him play.
Yep.
Ever. Ever. And can you tell me how they're doing right now in the NBA?
Yeah.
How's Scoot Henderson
Scoot,
playing?
exactly. And he had hype. Yeah.
I'm saying, how's he playing?
Yep.
No, I've never seen him play.
Nope.
Ever.
Nope. No, and then Chris Murray goes in the following year, and he is light years ahead of him because the college game matters a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's competitive. You're playing SEC Big Ten basketball. You're out there grinding your guts out every single night trying to win games. Not easy. And so the NBA doesn't get enough juice out of the draft. They try to create juice with the in-season tournament. They try to, which is going to be on Amazon next season. They try to create juice with the play-ins, which I think it's it's a gimmick.
It's exactly. It's
I mean, the NHL doesn't even do gimmicks.
I think it also it further de-emphasizes the regular season because you're going to have
they have 30 teams.
30 teams, and 20 of them are in. Yeah.
Okay.
Ridiculous.
The NHL is 32, 16 are in.
Yeah. Yep.
Oh, no, it's just a couple games. Please, it's a gimmick.
Yeah, I agree.
Why do they need gimmicks? I don't mind them playing overseas. I don't mind, because the NBA isn't, to their credit, they've made themselves into an international game. The playoffs are not the issue.
No.
Okay?
No.
Okay? People watch the playoffs because the basketball is really good. In other words, you're seeing all around basketball. You are seeing defense being played. You're seeing great offense and plays being run. Okay? And people enjoy that part of it. Okay? The regular season, they do everything they can to not make it enjoyable.
Agreed.
I mean, oh, no, that's not true. No, it's true. Okay?
Yep.
Your product, you have the best players in the world.
Sure.
You have the best players in the world. No question about it. They do a lot of things well. The officiating in that league is something
gotten better.
You have to take
a lot better
hard look at in terms of positives.
Yeah, it's gotten better.
Right?
Yeah.
There's a lot of things college needs to look at what the NBA does in terms of officiating, how the game's officiated, so forth. The challenge rules, things like that. Love the challenge rule. You get one.
Yeah.
You get one.
Sure.
Right? Most coaches try to save it till the final 2-3 minutes of the game. I'm fine with that. They don't take forever to review plays. College game, I mean, you might as well go to the concession stand. The reviews take forever. There's every time you turn around the Final Four, it was embarrassing how many times they went to as far as I'm concerned, how many times they went to the monitor. Well, you got to get it right. Oh, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
Let's not.
Human error happens, but it shouldn't be happening that much. Yeah, the NBA, and you touched on a little bit with what the NHL did with their All-Star game, but you make the argument, I think the NBA has crushed their All-Star game in a lot of ways, and that was their... Look, All-Star games don't have the relevance they used to have. I understand that entirely, but the other part of it is... I've made this point a couple times. Super Bowl, people know where it is. They can make their plans.
Right.
NBA Finals, World Series.
Right. Yeah. You're
not going to know.
Or the Stanley Cup Final.
Yeah. So that is the All-Star Weekend. Is the one weekend that these fans can make their plans. And the NBA, to me, for many years, did it better than anybody. I think when you look at what they had, you obviously had. And you added too much to it, too. You have way too much going on with the All-Star Weekend now. You used to have entertainment, yes, but then you had obviously a 3-point shootout and the dunk contest on Saturday.
Yeah.
You had top-tier talent playing, and I understand you're not going to get that now, but you had those two things. Now you have 75 skills challenges and everything else that just people are drawn off by it. And the other part of it, the game was competitive. The All-Star game was absolutely competitive, and now it's not. It just, all of those things have gone away from the NBA, and it's hurt the game. Again, the All-Star game, I get it. It's an exhibition. Is it relevant? No. Does it have the relevance it used to have? No. But they did an excellent job with it, and now they're probably, you make the argument, is the worst of the major sports.
Right. It shouldn't be. Basketball should be an easy game.
Exactly.
All-Star game.
It should be a simple All-Star game. It was an entertaining All-Star game. It was the best. You go back to the late 80s and the 90s, even into the early 2000s, that was the game that you were glued on to. Not anymore.
No.
Yeah, and it's
crazy.
No, the one exception being the year, unfortunately, when Kobe Bryant passed away, when it returned to Chicago. That was the first time it returned there since '88, when obviously that was one of the more memorable All-Star games. Jordan wins the dunk contest, wins All-Star game MVP the following night. And the All-Star game in Chicago, when Kobe passed away, there was a lot at stake. Competitive, it was tremendous. Other than that, the last 15 years, you've not seen a great All-Star game in the NBA at all.
Right.
And that includes when Curry hit as many threes as he hit the one, broke the record. Wasn't entertaining.
Yeah. So they've got that problem. There's no
Big time.
No getting around
Yeah,
it.
absolutely.
Again, they have a regular season problem. They absolutely do not have a playoff problem. They don't.
No, they don't.
Because the games are really good right now.
The games are good. The matchups are good right now. Absolutely.
A lot of things about it are really good.
And you're seeing the other thing the playoffs can excel at with the NBA is those not major market teams. You're starting to see what these superstars can do. You started to see what Anthony Edwards could do last year. Now you're definitely seeing it even more now with what he's doing against the Lakers. So you're getting that opportunity too. These mid-market teams are getting their spotlight.
Deontay Johnson signed with the...
I did see that. The Browns.
Why is that a headline? I thought when he was at the Steelers, I thought he was between mediocre and good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he wasn't great. Yeah. Yep.
I don't get it. Mike Sullivan done with the Pittsburgh Penguins. This is something that I want to salute the job he did with the Penguins. Stanley Cups in 16 and 17. You're talking about the longest tenured Penguins coach. This is screaming, by the way, Boston Bruins as his next stop. Look, I mean, that's where he's from. Bruins need a head coach. But the Penguins have missed the playoffs for 3 straight seasons at one point. And this is something that they feel like, let's make a change and go from there. It's easier to change him than other parts. The Fenway Group, of course, made the move. And you know, this is not a case where the Penguins are blaming him or complaining. They're just making a move.
They're just making a move. Yeah.
I mean, that's all it is.
Yeah, and that's what was said yesterday, too, obviously.
I thought he handled himself throughout the 10 years. I don't think he could have handled himself any better.
No, and I think the respect is there by management, too. I think you saw that yesterday in the press conference. I think the respect is obviously there. I think there's ways to fire a coach where, I don't want to say that it's, well, you got to say it. They do it the right way. And I think that's what the Penguins did yesterday. I thought they did a great, it's
in other words,
professional.
It was professional the way they handled it.
Yep.
Ottawa, Toronto tonight in Toronto. Toronto trying to advance up 3 games to 1. Canes and Devils in Raleigh tonight, and the Canes up 3-1. Minnesota and the Vegas Golden Knights. That series tied at 2.
Yeah, it's been a good series
in Las Vegas tonight. Very close to the arena is very close to MGM where your picture is up. They seem to love you there. And Edmonton and the LA Kings are back in Los Angeles tonight, so tied at 2 games apiece. Yeah. So that is the story there. The NBA playoffs resume tonight, and the NBA playoffs will have 4 games tonight. Same story. Bucks Pacers in Indianapolis, up 3-1. Damian Lillard ruptured Achilles. It's just been awful for him. When he went to the Bucks, it was a celebration. Mm-hmm. You have Giannis, you had Middleton at the time. Now you're bringing this big-time scorer that can make clutch shots from 35 feet. And it's just all gone wrong. Yeah. I mean, everything. Just Pistons and Knicks. Knicks up 3-1. Celtics back at home to take on Orlando tonight, up 3-1. Denver back at home to take on the LA Clippers, tied at 2. Interesting article I read in The Athletic today, because I think you have seen that Josh Harris and the city of Washington, Muriel Bowser, they've come into an agreement where they're going to level RFK Stadium and they're going to build a dome stadium on that footprint. The mayor of the city, Muriel Bowser, has worked hard on this for a long time to try and see if they can get the Commanders to come back. Supposedly, Josh Harris is putting in $2.7 billion of his own money. It's going to be a dome stadium, so the idea is going to be to have this available for a couple hundred events a year, where now you're bidding on having Final Fours. Maybe you end up having a
Super Bowl
game.
Yep.
You can then get a Super Bowl, something.
Yeah. Which I think the Super Bowl has been wanting to do for, obviously, it tried it in New York. It succeeded because the weather was okay.
Yeah,
but
the weather paid off.
Yeah, absolutely.
Earlier in the week, I was at Super Bowl Media Day that week.
Yeah.
And they had Super Bowl Media Day at the Prudential Center in Newark. And we had to wait outside before they opened the doors. It was 9 degrees out on that day. I think I want to say it was a Monday or Tuesday.
I think at that time it might have been Tuesday, because Monday moved it to Monday a couple of
Tuesday, because I remember I had to drive from Newark to Columbus. I had basketball on a Wednesday night.
Yep.
And it was 9 degrees. And we're standing out there, and they lucked out because then by the time they got to Sunday, the temperature was in the 40s. But that's what they want to do.
Absolutely. They would love East Coast.
Took Detroit as an example.
Yeah.
Because if you've ever been to Detroit, Comerica Park is right next to Ford Field. Yeah. So it goes Ford Field, Comerica Park, and then Little Caesars Arena.
Downtown.
And for anybody that loves wrestling and went to the national championship at Little Caesars, you saw the complex when you were there, how everything's within a half mile of each other. And the late Mike Ilitch is the one that worked hard to get this done, get the arena done. You know, we all know Mike Ilitch, owner. Okay, Little Caesars Pizza. You know what he's also famous for doing? For the last 10 years of her life, Rosa Parks moved to Detroit. He paid her rent for 10 years. After the show, we'll explain to you who Rosa Parks is.
I think I'm good on that one. But I did not know that story, though.
One guy. Just give me one.
I know the Rosa Parks story, obviously, but I did not know that he paid her rent. She paid her rent. Yeah.
Even like half a guy. Okay. So they were talking about the economic viability of downtown. And what you're doing is I know it's part of it's supposed to be a housing project, which, by the way, in Washington, supposedly part of this is a housing project. I think Washington, the city, has to put $1.1 billion in, but part of that is infrastructure. Big part of that's infrastructure. You're going to be able to have the ability to smoothly, ingress and egress in terms of in out of that area. They also want to put housing in here. And that's one thing in Detroit. They've talked about it, but they haven't done it yet. But this is what it does do. When you're talking in Detroit between the Pistons, the Red Wings, the Tigers, and the Lions, now you're at a point where all four are good. The Red Wings have come back. The Pistons were a disastrous team last year. They're a 48-win team this year. Exciting. The Lions had the best record in the NFC last year. Detroit made the Tigers made the playoffs. What you're doing is you're putting together, between the three of them, 200 downtown events a year. Oh, geez, he's starting to think. Okay. 41 in the NHL, 41 in the NBA. Okay, 81 baseball. So now we're up to 162.
Sometimes 9 in the NFL. Right. Other times 8.
Right. But, okay. So now you forgot about the preseason.
Yeah.
So you got to do that. So now
10.
Okay. Now you get to the playoffs. It adds up to 200 events downtown, which is great for restaurants.
Sure. Absolutely.
Hotels. Traffic in and out of the place. It's bringing people in, because the Red Wings, 20,000 a game. The Pistons are now 20,000 a game. The Lions are going to sell out 65,000 a game. Remember, too, they brought in the Penn State-Michigan State game.
Right.
They played that at Ford Field.
Yeah.
And when you're looking at the Tigers average attendance is like 25 to 30,000 a game. So you're talking about 2.4 million people per summer at Detroit. It could be a little bit higher than that, but I'm using conservative numbers here. I mean, look at just in the pure numbers of what they have that they're bringing in. Now, doesn't mean they're staying, because you're talking about what did it replace. I mean, because Detroit, of course, and Michigan, I don't care whether it's Dearborn, Ypsilanti, there was a Ford plant in Ypsilanti. Dearborn has Ford. Chrysler, of course, GM. Some of that's coming back, which we're seeing. But at the same time, they've had to replace it with other industries along it, because Detroit, like most cities, does have a housing shortage, right? But you are providing jobs down there. Jobs working at the arena, jobs working at the ballpark, jobs working at the football stadium, jobs working in the restaurant, jobs of people working in the hotels, because there are people that are using them, staying downtown. Believe me, when we came in to do the game, I had to come in from Orlando. I did basketball on Thanksgiving Day, and I had to fly in Thanksgiving night. The hotel, we stayed at the Marriott Renaissance downtown, the one that's really the signature building, the GM building, right across the river from Windsor, Ontario. That's where we stayed. I came in to the hotel. There's all these Green Bay Packer fans there, because the Lions had played the
Thanksgiving
Packers the day before. Earlier that day they played. The hotel was loaded with people because they came in from out of town for the game. And the hotel was loaded with Penn State fans and Michigan State, some Michigan State fans, but Penn State fans. Hotels, restaurants, right? Now, it turned out all the restaurants, because of the time I got in, it was 7:30 at night. I didn't get in late. Okay? I didn't get in late. but it was Thanksgiving.
Uh,
All the restaurants were closed. So Roger Corey, Bob Taylor. I don't think Brian Tripp was there yet. No, Brian was part of the broadcast team.
I was going to say, I think he was.
Yeah,
he just wasn't at the.
I don't think he
wasn't there yet.
Right? Jack, him, and I all had for dinner turkey burgers.
There you go.
Just to be in the spirit of the holiday. Okay. But my point is, the hotel, you talk about, well, how much are hotels? The Packers played at Ford Field that day. There were Packer fans all over that place. There were Penn State fans all over that place. And believe me, the Tigers play the Yankees. You don't think they're Yankee fans coming into town to watch the game, and they're going to stay at the hotels? Of course they are. They're going to eat at the restaurants, not just eat at the ballpark. All right, so home and away opponents announced for Big Ten men's basketball. Penn State's home and aways for men's basketball will be as follows: Michigan, Ohio State, Rutgers. You seem confused.
No.
You know Rutgers is in the league, right?
They are.
Just give me
Allegedly in football.
Just give me one guy. This is basketball.
I know. I'm listening.
Okay. Michigan, Ohio State, Rutgers are home and aways.
Yes.
The home-only games
Yep.
at the Jordan Center, or maybe we'll see if there's a Palestra game in there or not. Illinois, Iowa, Michigan State, Minnesota, UCLA, USC, Wisconsin. The away games, the one plays on the away games, will be Indiana, Maryland, Nebraska, Northwestern, Oregon, Purdue, and Washington. So this means at minimum, Dick Girardi has 2 home games. Rutgers
and Maryland, yeah. Yeah.
There you go. The only difference in this from this past year is very simple. Is 2 of the home and aways changed.
Yep.
Michigan, Ohio State. Changed out. As opposed to Minnesota and what was the other one? And Indiana. So there you go. Dates, television network assignments, and tip-off times for Big Ten contests will be announced at a later date, like September 18th or 19th. Well,
they still get it out quicker than wrestling does. My goodness.
I don't get it.
No, I don't either. Wrestling has been later and later.
I don't understand why.
Well, and the other part is, I think you hope, and you talk about football, you just hope there's more than 2 kickoff times announced prior to the season.
Yeah.
I think for their fans' perspective, we show up no matter what. We got to be there. But from a fan's perspective, I think you hope.
I have hopes too, but I think you're going to show up tomorrow anyway.
That's right.
Hopefully with a blue shirt. So you went to the Ohio State bin, and that's what you picked up?
Not that I know of. I don't think I went. I've only been in not been in Columbus in a while.
Well, that's a police thing. The day he gets in trouble is the day we're all in trouble, believe me. It's about as good a guy as people get. Oh, my goodness. All right, my friend. Another one in the books.
Yes, sir.
Right? Based on your preparation, you're probably not going to look at sports for the next 23 hours.
That's right.